need so much love. What's up, dude? How's it going, man?
It's going good. How you doing?
I'm really excited to see you. I
Yeah.
like your glasses. You got a really cool kind of hip thing going on there, and your pomp and
yeah.
everything's looking good. The
Try
jacket.
and be like my grandpa.
You know, like that's what everyone wants to do. Everyone wants to look like their grandpa now.
Well, yeah, they were the respectable generation.
You think so? I know. I know. My generation is ridiculous. I went to college. I don't go to college, but I work at a school, so we took like a field trip to the college, to the ASU, and I was just like, are these supposed to be my peers? I don't understand what's going on. Like, who are all these people? Like, why am I supposed to be here with these? Am I supposed to be in the same thing? I don't understand.
Oh, college is weird, man.
It's weird.
I went to a year of university and then like 3 sporadic years of community college. And
Really?
the year of university, like, it's just a different fucking world.
Yeah.
And like, you walk around when you're in it and you're and like immersing yourself in that much debt.
Yeah.
And then you see like the tables of like credit card vendors like giving away free shit just so you sign up for credit cards, and all the ways that like they're just sucking money out of people.
Yes.
And it's people's parents' money, and if they're really unlucky, it's their money. But you're told you got to do this, you got to do this, and like, you know, I was smart enough, like at the age of 13, it was like, all right, you want to be an artist. I don't know why you want to do this at the age of 13, but you're going to have to get used to being poor.
Yeah.
So you should take like home ec and shop.
Well, that's really fucking smart.
Yeah. And then it was smart. And then around the age of 16, somehow my parents got the college bug in my head. It was either that or the movie PCU. I saw that as like, if that's what college is like, I could find weirdos like me. What you do?
Yeah.
Like, that's how I got into a lot of like comedy stuff that like is what I revolve most of my writing around. Like even music. Like I'm kind of retarded with music, but like comedy is my jam, and you can use the same rules back and forth.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's all like timing and tone, and that's really all it comes down to. And the melody you create is infinite.
I didn't know you were into that. You did comedy. I'm obsessed with stand-up comedy. I was just watching.
I didn't do stand-up. I did
just writing sketches.
Improv and sketch comedy.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So like, if you know like the Upright Citizens Brigade at all, or like Amy Poehler.
Yeah, of course. Poehler. I know. I mean, like, is it like, I know? Obviously, I know Monty Python, and it's like, whose line is it anyway? That kind of stuff.
I started doing that stuff when I was in high school. And then when I went to U of A and started doing sketch comedy, there was a group there that was doing what's called long form, where you don't do any of that gamey shit. You just get one suggestion and you go for like a half hour. Cool. Sometimes like we did a show that we got paid way too much money for in Canyon, Texas.
Shit.
It was, it's this little like a town. It's a dry county in what I like to call the Texas Top Hat.
Okay. Which is so the northern.
Yeah, the little like it's the Panhandle, but it's like let's be classy. Let's just let Texas be a little classy.
Yeah.
We did like a 2.5 hour show. And then like wrapped it all up at the end, and like this like crowd of like they were like, it was like an engineering school, but they were still like in an agricultural county, and so they were like, you know, kind of artsy, but like they were all working on farms.
Yes.
And they were just like wide-eyed and like, what the hell? You guys want to come back and party with us, right? And like they just like had all this booze from like the other county over. And just crazy partying with Texans.
Was that, what kind of content? Was that subversive? Was it like kind of...
It was inherently subversive. Like if you like, especially when you're doing like long form improv, like you only have your own subconscious and the things that your teammates give you. So like all of your baggage just gets unloaded. Like as much as you're trying to be funny and relatable, like it's coming out.
Of course.
Like every old man character I ever did was definitely like my fear of becoming like impotent and weak, like and like every like authoritative like know-it-all character I ever played was my subversive take on like authority and like whatever anarchist like swing I was back then.
That's awesome. Well, that's the thing about comedy is all fear and tragedy and all those things. Always, I mean, from what I've noticed.
Well, I mean, music should be as well,
of course, yeah.
But musicians like have the backbone of like, no, it just gotta sound good, man.
Yeah.
Like, because technically, like with comedy too, like most of it is the sound of your voice.
Yeah.
Like the way you like pitch up and down when you talk, and how you draw out certain phrases. But you have to have content because it's really easy to see when someone is just like phoning it in, like Larry the Cable Guy. He's a really good performer, but his material is so lacking in content that like anyone who's just not desperate to feel okay to be stupid.
Yes.
Which is the Trump problem. That's what like,
of course.
that's like something altogether different.
So, which is, I learned about all of the rhythms to comedy, and not just comedy, but speaking, when I got obsessed with George Carlin when I was like 15 or 16.
Oh, yeah.
And I got obsessed. I'm talking like I read all the books and the fucking every single special I had like downloaded MP3, and now I got older and I got vinyl and I got them on vinyl. Like that guy's life and legacy is one of my obsessions. So he always talks about how everything he memorizes everything and it's always the same. Mm-hmm. Like obviously unless he's working shit out.
Yeah.
But it's just perfect flow. Every word like segues into the next word with a perfect rhythm. I'm obsessed with that kind of stuff.
That's why I couldn't do stand-up.
Really?
That's why, like, doing music is hard enough, like, having to listen to yourself on repeat. You not only are you practicing the songs and trying to do them the same, you record the songs and you listen to yourself ad nauseum. I could not do with all of the self-obsession that came with doing stand-up. Like, because you have to, like, you really want to nail it down. Like, a lot of, like, modern stand-ups are more conversational and more off the cuff, and depending on how likable their voice is, like I would listen to Hannibal Buress say anything. It doesn't matter what it is. But there's a lot of other comedians that like 5 minutes in their set, like you're like, okay, like I get it. Jokes.
I like that with some people too.
You're really loose on this. I get it.
Yeah, but I can't because I'm such a purist. I look at everything as an art form. If shit that shouldn't be an art form, I take too seriously and it should be. That's why people like Gabriel Iglesias drive me fucking crazy. Or people who just like milking the sacred cow. Just like I said the word fluffy 15 years ago, and I'm still calling every single special like I'm fluffy.
Wow, that's just good branding.
Yeah,
that's just good branding. Like that would be like if George Carlin took like a special to be family friendly.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah,
like he has like a consistent thing built up. That's like there's a difference between that like Larry the Cable Guy, where it is like the lowest common denominator. Like he's just telling just shit jokes. Yeah. Whereas like Gabriel Iglesias, he's more of like a storytelling guy.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
He's not a joke guy. And how could you not like that guy? How could you not like that guy?
I don't know. Maybe it's just I don't know. I guess I just like a different kind of comedian. I like a lot of the alternative guys. I like Patton Oswalt and Tom Segura and George Carlin and Bill Hicks and the guys like that who are philosophers through comedy. I think that's the thing that I really love. Yeah. Whereas he's just like. Yeah, I guess I'm too hard on him. Him and Jeff Dunham are the two people who I just cannot stand.
Fuck Jeff Dunham. Fuck racist puppet Jeff Dunham. Like, fuck that guy.
I agree.
Fuck that guy right in his puppet asshole.
I remember being a kid, or like 12 or 13, I think, when he first came onto the scene and like thinking, it's okay, this is kind of funny or whatever. And then I got older and I started to think about shit, and I was just like, this is not funny. And the only thing, his actual stand-up that he does in between the puppets is really not funny.
No.
Not at all.
No.
That's why he's relying on the stereotypes as comedy. He has no real personality.
He didn't start with the stereotypes. He started with the basic hook of like, look, I got a puppet.
Yeah.
And then you're just dumbfounded and like, oh, puppet. And that's for long enough to realize it's a dummy, not a puppet.
Yeah.
And fuck that guy and his stupid dummy. So like, but then like as like our culture war waged on, and he found an easy, like, what audience is really going to be dumbfounded by a dummy for that long?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the alt-right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The alt-right.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. No, that's right. That's his audience. But he at least he does have an audience. But that's, yeah, I don't know. But it can go both ways.
Well, it was like if as a musician I started playing country songs.
Yeah.
Like I've got all of the DNA to be a really good country singer. Mm-hmm. Like if I decided to do country music and just play to that audience, I could have an actual career and wouldn't have to like deal with people yelling at me for 8 hours a day because my only skill in life is talking good.
Yeah.
So
I'm you know what though, I wrote off like country for a long time because I wasn't into it. My only exposure was mainstream bullshit pop country, right?
Yeah.
And then I started discovering alt country, and I started listening to like Gillian Welch and Ryan Adams. And now I'm like, oh, cool. And then I'm getting some of the older shit, some of the singer-songwriters like James Taylor, not country really, but like I'm starting to find my gateways into like the alt country stuff, which I really dig. I really dig that.
I haven't listened to modern music since the year 2000.
Okay.
Year 2000, I just turned off. I was like, I'm done. Like, we're just recycling now.
It's getting better.
We've gotten through all the revivals about, so people are starting to just mix things up, and it is starting to become back to the rock and roll and punk ethic of just a bunch of white kids trying to do a thing that everyone's telling them they can't. Mm-hmm. Like, everything in our right minds should be like, you shouldn't be in a band. Why are you going to waste all your time and money on doing that? Like, you're not going to make it. No one cares about rock and roll.
Yeah.
You might as well be playing jazz.
Well, the internet has leveled the playing field, and that's made all this DIY stuff
No,
possible.
The internet has, like, muddied the water.
You think so? Okay.
Oh, fuck the internet.
Okay.
Like, I mean, like, it's great. Like, it's great that, like, it's easy to make a record. Mm-hmm. But it's also, like, really easy for people to be really complacent.
Well, yeah. Okay.
And so, like, songwriting, like, generally is bad. Mm-hmm. Arranging is lazy. 'Cause, like, there's no real motive to write a number one song. Mm-hmm. In my air quotes that you can't see. Because do any of us really think we're going to be rock stars? And so we should have that in our mindset. That's kind of why we don't have any rock stars anymore, or at least decent ones. Mm-hmm. Because with the leveling of the playing field, air quotes again, it's basically made the money game so that to do this and be able to get towards like the mid-level national act, you have to already have money.
Okay.
You can tour for years. Like we have bands that are doing that here, the Haymarket Squares. Mm-hmm. But like
Diners.
Yeah, Diners is doing it. Snailmate's doing it. Mm-hmm. It's so few and far between to get to that level where you can pay the people to get in front of what you need. And in essence, it's always been that way. Yeah. But now, where people have very little value for what they're consuming, and people already don't have enough money to spend on shit. Because we all like to have shit on our desks and our walls. We like to hold things and remember things. But if it costs $15, we're all broke. Yeah. So that pool that we all have to like look at, like, oh, we can be in that money pool if we just put in this work. There used to be like managers at the local level that would front money to get decent recordings or upgrade your gear or try and put on a tour. Now that's all on us. Mm-hmm. No one's there trying to do that for us. And most of the time that there's someone there trying to do that for us, it's someone trying to take advantage of how many goddamn bands there are. Mm-hmm. I mean, if rock and roll's greatest revolution was that everyone was going to start a band, well, we won and we lost. Yeah. Because everyone started a band and now no one's important. And we're not saying anything relevant to the cultural conversation. You know, like, we should be the ones like fighting Nazis right now.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, maybe that's gonna happen. Like my only ever, and maybe it's a naive one, but my ever only silver lining with the whole Trump thing was they would piss people off again. Because I feel like everyone was complacent, at least my generation, at least, and being around the people that I was around. Like, people always talk about how everyone just expected Obama to do everything, and that's absolutely true within the group of which that I've been around and my peers. Everyone just thought like, oh, he's fine and whatever, and everything's cool, and everyone's just fucking complacent and level and whatever. And then this happens, and everyone's like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think that one of the only silver linings is like people are going to get pissed off again. People are going to start getting opinionated about that kind of shit again, and they're not going to hide behind Tumblr anymore. They realize they have to actually get out and maybe do something about it.
I mean, depending on how bad the situation gets. I mean, I think our generation's just full of pussies.
Yeah.
Like, me included. Like, I mean, yeah, I was a punk rocker and I did some crazy shit, but like, and I talk like a big game, but like, I'm not going to hit a Nazi over the head. Like, unless I know I got 4 guys, like, I'm not doing that. I'm not prepared to do that. I didn't get hit enough as a kid to understand that pain, like, up front and not be scared of it.
Yeah, no, I totally.
You know? So it's going to be a real test for all of us, but fuck, I don't know. Yeah, no,
I don't know where it's gonna. I don't know why. Like, I knew that it was gonna happen. Obviously, I knew he was going to become president because he became the president-elect. But there was a part of me that was like, maybe something's gonna happen. Like, maybe we're all gonna wake up, or maybe like it's like, just kidding. And then it happened, and for some reason, I was looking around my news feed, and everyone was all pissed off again. But then I was like, I am too. But I knew this was coming. Like, I knew, but it was just like the final seal of like, this is for real. This is happening.
See, I knew in August.
You think? Yeah, really?
Oh god! I mean, once they fucked Bernie.
Yeah.
Like if they had made him the VP pick, that was the only way they could have salvaged that dumpster fire of a self-indulgent, triumphant march to failure. Like, they ignored every single signpost that says, you don't have this. You're under an FBI investigation, and already half of the country doesn't trust your family. Yeah. And also, you're an establishment Democrat who wants to do less than Obama did. You are more conservative, so you're going to lose your base, and you're not going to win the center because the center hates you.
That's true. I mean, like, that's the thing is, I was just as blinded by everybody else. This is one of the things that did wake me up, because I'm just like, I was 23-year-old, just like fucking most of the people like I hang out with, and we were all just expecting like, oh, dude, there's no fucking way that that he would ever win. And I'm looking through, like, now I'm looking back and I'm seeing all these videos, these people talking, and I'm finding all the information that I should have found a long time ago, and all these things where people, because there are people who are coming out now who are like, yeah, it's obvious because this and that, and all the things that you're mentioning, all the strategic things, like, would have made sense. Like, we all expected it to happen a different way.
Well, it's confirmation bias. Like, you see pieces of information D, E, and F, but your brain is stuck on Q.
Yeah.
And like, fuck D, E, and F.
Yeah.
We don't need those. We're going to get Q. It's going to be fine.
Yeah. I know. It's crazy. And like, I remember I was like watching it on my phone while we were like flipping through different channels, trying to find the right channel on because like, what is there a news source to trust at all anymore, other than maybe like, at what center? Because I know CNN's bullshit now.
Well, every news source is inherently biased.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to identify what the bias is within an article. Mm-hmm. Basically, people need higher reading comprehension skills is really what it comes down to. Because you have to be able to read between the lines. What are they saying? What are they not saying? And you have to just logic. Mm-hmm. What is the thing that makes sense here? And most people just aren't going to do that. I've been quote unquote politically active like since I was 16. Like, I've been in, marches and rallies. I've been toe-to-toe with SWAT teams. I've seen people, like, pull up with, like, giant tanks full of tear gas and gas an entire crowd. But... Oh, I totally lost my point. I shouldn't have smoked pot.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You've been through all the marches. You've done all these things. You've been involved since you were 16.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I don't read past headlines. Like, I'm not... There's so much going on that we're just not in control over. The game has been rigged for too long that we really just have to let them fail. We have to let liberal capitalism fail so we can get to social democracy.
Okay, gotcha.
We have to shop at Walmart, build oil pipelines, and let them cut the taxes till they strangle off the consumer economy, because that's the only thing that's going to happen. And until, like, people realize that in the modern age where we rely on consumer economies, the best thing we can do is give poor people to spend money on shit they don't need.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to. It has to be universal basic income. And I don't care what you spend this $1,000 on. Fucking get, like, a shack and buy all this, like, junk and just shoot up all the time.
Yeah.
Like, go to the hospital. We paid for it. Just try and do something cool that someone will appreciate, and make sure you buy shit.
Every time. So when you said you got political at 16, what was the spark? Like my spark was anti-flag. I discovered anti-flag when I was a teenager, and I read all, like, got interested in what their politics were, and that's when I became. So for me it was music. So, like, what got you when you were 16, like, interested?
Going back that far, I mean, like, even last week is really fucking hazy as far as my motivations for things.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I'm highly ADHD and bipolar, so my brain is shot.
Yeah. You're the brain of an artist.
I have a brain of an architect and a very, very, very high maintenance woman.
Gotcha.
And so it was probably when I'm from New York.
Okay.
Born in Staten Island, raised in Long Island, and then we moved out here when I was 13. And basically, when I was 8, I was diagnosed with operational defiance disorder, which was the precursor.
I know that. I know.
Yeah, to ADHD. Basically, your kid was born an anarchist. He just has to question everything and be a pain in the ass. Here's some drugs. Mm-hmm. So when we moved out here, my parents started forcing us to go to church. And moving out here threw me into a really heavy depression, like, straight off the bat, like, complete change in personality. And then forcing me to go to church and Sunday school. I just became a giant asshole because I came from one of the poorest suburbs in Long Island, Mastic, which has the highest rate of inbreeding in all of New York. And this is including Appalachia.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah. I mean, a woman down the street from us, and this is a suburb, tried poisoning her children with bleach. A neighbor a few doors down had chickens that they would kill.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like, it was a fucked up neighborhood for how, like, docile and suburban it was. But so I moved from there to Ahwatukee.
Okay.
And right before I had moved, 2 people I knew had gotten killed by trains. One, an 11-year-old girl taking LSD. And 2, a complete accident. His bike had gotten stuck on the tracks. Move out to Ahwatukee right after those those rich kids had, like, there was a rich kid murder, basically. These 2 rich kids, best friends.
Rich Kid Murder, by the way, album name as fuck. Like, when I hear that, I just think
that. Yeah, we're gonna have to write that down. If anyone wants to start a punk band, we're looking for members for Rich Kid Murder. No talent necessary.
No, of course.
Yeah.
Necessary.
And so this one rich kid murdered another rich kid because a girlfriend thing or something about a girl, and he put his body in a trash can, and they didn't find it for weeks, and then the whole murder thing. And I came to this school that this murder happened at, like that these were students at the Centennial. I don't remember the fucking name of that school. Fuck that school.
So what did that feel like? Was it like a Twin Peaks kind of thing? Was everyone like uncomfortable? Like, was it?
Everyone was like this must be so weird for you, and I'm like, bitch, I'm from fucking New York, and like I'm from like the hard suburbs.
Yeah.
Like your petty ass bullshit. Like the thing we were astonished most by was like, how did they not find a body in a trash can? Because in New York, like, we have like normal sized trash cans that like would maybe at best fit 2 people in it if you're really stuffing them hard. And so we were like, man, the mafia's missing something. Yeah. Like if this rich kid can get away with a body in a trash can. And it wasn't until like a year and a half later till we got like a house where we see the size of the fucking trash cans. We're like, oh, that's how you hide a body in a trash can. You have a trash can that will literally fit like 8 bodies, so the one at the bottom isn't as noticeable. So yeah, just like that culture clash of like, just like, no, we're all a bunch of working class kids with fucked up families, to like fucked up rich kid families, and they're all like, woe is me over this non-tragedy of theirs. Like, one of your friends was a dick, and one of his rich friends was also probably a dick. You probably should have all seen this coming.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many friends like I knew that I had that died before like the age of like 11. Like, at least 3 kids I knew like in my school like died of something.
Wow. Holy shit.
And like by the time I was like 16, that body count went up to like 12 or 13.
So did that make you jaded, or did that make you pissed off? Did that make you just depressed? Like,
so
what did that do to a 16-year-old?
Well, this is like when I was 13.
Okay, gotcha.
This is when I was 13. At the age of 13, doctors told my parents, your son is as jaded as a 90-year-old man, and we do not know what to do. So we're just going to try and talk about stuff he likes and pills.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's like I got around the age of like 14 was when I stopped doing like the Ritalin. Probably around like when I moved. But I don't remember. I don't have any clear memory of anything going to like around 18, maybe 23. That range. Everything is just like really hazy. Like every now and then, like I'll get oh, this happened, but it's like it's not like there's no timeline. There's just no connection. It's just things.
Wow.
Yeah, I also have a thing called aphantasia, where like most people, like you think of something, you have like a thought or a memory, and it like triggers like images. Mm-hmm. I can't see pictures. I can't hear sounds in my mind. Okay. It's all like words and concepts. And like constant just like
abstract all the time.
Yeah, like it's my thoughts are all words basically.
Wow.
So yeah, especially trying to like memorize like memory, like having memories, like even like things that happened last week. Like I can't give you an accurate like account of like, so when you had that argument with Paul, what happened? Paul got angry and I stormed off, I think.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it was just like, it was mainly the moving and like having the culture shock. And then it just like, I was like kind of suicidal, but like, I just over everything.
Yeah. Like
at the age of 13, I was just fucking over everything. And I've got an IQ of 158. So like, no one can fucking tell me wrong.
Yeah.
And then moving from New York, which is like in the top 10 public schools of America, to fucking Arizona. And I didn't learn a thing for 2 years. Was just like the hardest part of it. Like I keep bouncing between AP and normal classes because I'm too lazy for one and too smart for the other. And even though the work I'm doing in the smart person class, I already did that 2 years ago, and I'm not doing it again.
No, my thing with school, I dropped out in junior year of high school, and got a GED a couple years later, and just kind of like fucked around for a couple years. But in high school, I was totally bored. I hated all the kids I went to school with. I went to school at Williamsfield High School in Gilbert. Like brand new school. I was going to be the second graduating class ever. All the kids were getting fucking like Mustangs for their 16th birthday. Everyone was, I could not stand anybody at that school. I had like a few group of friends, and they put me in AP classes, but I failed them all because I didn't want to do anything. I would just sit there reading my own books. Yeah. I was like, no, I don't want to fucking read this. I want to read this fucking book that Henry Rollins put out in 1983. Okay, fuck you. He did it himself. It's awesome. Like, you know, and I would, but then now looking back, like I had some cool teachers. Like, I regret some of that because I had a cool teacher who was teaching us excerpts from the People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn. Yeah. Instead of the textbook. Oh yeah. But I was like too far up my own ass to realize this is awesome. I don't know why.
Oh yeah. No, it was 100% my history teacher that like showed me punk rock.
Oh yeah. Cool.
Like I was like into Nirvana, like, and this is like
what era is this?
The late 90s. Okay. I graduated. I don't like dating myself, but I graduated in 2001. Okay. So junior high was when I discovered punk. Okay. So that was like 99, 98. No, it wasn't junior high. Fuck, I don't remember any of that shit.
It's fine.
Time is bad. I don't remember.
Time is an illusion, man.
And it's an illusion I would like to keep a little bit better track of because people appreciate it. Yeah. But probably like late 90s. Okay. And it was like the History Channel's like History of Rock and Roll, and so it was like it wasn't like punk. Like I was like. I basically like, okay, Sex Pistols, okay, yeah. Even like at like the age of like 13 or 14, I was like, meh. Yeah. And then like there's like a little piece on Nirvana, and Sonic Youth was in there. They had Sonic Youth on that. But yeah, it's where I got Dead Kennedys.
Okay, that's important. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So from 15 on, it was Black Flag, Dead Kennedys, Crass was my biggest one.
Really?
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, like because I had the introduction of Sonic Youth already. Yeah. I already had like from Nirvana, I got grunge, and like was hearing punk bands. Like I knew who Millions of Dead Cops were, and I knew who the MC5 were, and so. But then I really got into Sonic Youth, and that was like a good introduction into like if you can get through how shitty this actually sounds. Like you're gonna really appreciate something, but just when you get into Crass, like if you're like in any way politically minded and like you have a no shit attitude, like you either put up or shut up. Like I don't want don't Hillary Clinton me, like and like say you're gonna do all these things, but like really that's like your public perception. Yeah. Like like no, we're really gonna do all these things. Yeah. Like the anti-flag of punk. Yeah. Or more like Crass. Well, like anti-flag. Like I'll give them like they've done some shit. They've helped some causes. But like it's like late phase punk. Like it's like you can't keep doing the same sounds.
Yeah. Well, no. I'm not saying that like I still live and die by their shit. It was just one of those bands that like. My introduction to punk rock at that point was bullshit pop punk music. And it was all Blink-182 and all that kind of shit. So when I heard Die For Your Government, I was like, oh, fuck, what is this?
Oh, yeah.
And that's how I kind of fell down the rabbit hole of what real punk was and got into hardcore.
Street punk and crust and,
But Crass was one of those bands where they always, like, I mean, I'm fine with preachy, but there was something about them that seemed very, like...
Uptight,
yeah. I don't think that's what I like. I didn't respond to that too well when I first listened to them like years and years ago.
Oh, because we're kids and we don't like that. Yeah. like so Crass, like they were the first wave of punks. Like they were a whole bunch of burnt out hippies who, like just they were fucking sick of all the bullshit nonsense of new age, huggy feely. bullshit.
Yeah, no, I totally.
You know, like everything that the hippies turned into, they predicted.
Eagles.
Huh?
The Eagles.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Or just like just the way the baby boomers failed with every intention that they said that they had when they were fighting the man. You know? Like they're the ultimate non-sellouts, but they're also really like fascist in the same way.
Yeah.
But like, whereas like a band like the Clash, like I don't respect the Clash. I think they have some really good songs, but they can fuck off. Like they're not the best punk band because they're the worst punks.
Yeah.
You know, they were all talk and no walk. You know, all the Rock Against Racism shows that just went right back to the bands. You know, like there's like a great story about like when Crass played the first one. You know, they were getting paid, like, and they're like, no, you guys keep it for the cause. Yeah. They're like, no, this is the cause. We did our job.
Just bringing everybody together and paying you.
Yeah. We talked about racism, guys. We talked about racism, and we literally rocked against it. There were some racists over there, and we formed a wall, and we played rock music. So good job, us. You know, and like the types of subversive pre-trolling that they were able to accomplish. Like there was this one thing they did where they recorded this really sugary sounding single. Like straight, like almost like 50s Disney pop. And they convinced a young women's magazine to include it with their magazine. And they disguised it with like, it was like the Creative Recording Arts and Society and something. But it was this like really like subversive song about like how marriage is like selling your soul away to a man who's just going to take advantage of you. And they printed out and sent out like thousands of these copies to young girls, you know.
Shit like that doesn't happen anymore.
They created a fake phone conversation between Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan, where Margaret Thatcher admitted to a false flag attack that started the Falklands War, and they had done such a good job that the CIA was convinced it was Russian.
Damn.
They pulled one over on the fucking CIA. I mean, that's just fucking cool. When you're when you're a subversive, like, intellectual, like, when you're an asshole kid, which is what it comes down to. Like, there's a lot of stuff we regret that we did when we were young, but, like, you have to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get anywhere by being nice all the time. But you have to get through that phase where you learn how to be assertive without being an asshole. But at some point, you have to have the audacity to just kind of fucking be an asshole.
Because when you're nice to everybody, all you get is surface level friendships.
Yeah.
You get bullshit, like friendships that don't mean anything, and then they just burn you out or blow you off, and then you're just...
Yeah, which is really good if you want to have a music career, but like... But, you know, like, if you actually want to connect with people and, like, have people have your back and, like, you know, make life the fruit that it can be, you have to be able to be real and, you know, ruffle people's feathers. You know, like, my friends piss me off all the time. Yeah. But, like, if they're friends, I'll get over it. Yeah. You know? Like...
I'm a really harsh judge of character, so like the friends that I've held on to through the years, like, I have their small group of them, but they're really fucking strong friendships. Yeah, like I don't like piss in the wind friendships or like, oh hey, how's it going? Like I don't. Yeah, I hate small talk. I hate that kind of shit. Like I just want to get to it. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. It's fine. Well, here's the thing though, being in the music scene has taught me that like there's an in between. Yes. Which is great. That's one of those things that like I was never interested in going out. I didn't go to a whole lot of shows when I was a teenager. I didn't do a whole lot of like hanging out in public a whole lot. I was just with my friends. And then being in the band was like, oh, like ooh, I can go out and talk to people and everything's okay now.
Yeah, I have a reason. Yeah, like, I'm in a band. That's why I'm supposed to be talking to you, stranger. Yeah. You want to like my band? Of course you do, pretty girl. But yeah, you put on that veneer and like you have like a character to be. So it's like it's easier to just kind of put yourself out there. But at the same time, like, so I like my first like successful thing I ever did was a couple years ago, a band called Dr. Bones. It was like a new wave. It's like an indie new wave band.
Okay.
But my job was basically to be Iggy Pop. I didn't have to play guitar, just write words and melodies and just fucking go crazy. And people really responded to it, and like it drove me fucking nuts.
Really?
Like it like having so many people like trying to interact with you all the time and trying to figure out like, what does this person want? What does that person want? Because everyone wants something from every conversation. That's what I learned doing improvisation. Like that's just inherent. Like even if it's not attached to you personally, somebody wants something out of every conversation that they have, either to be reassured or to be challenged. But it gets really tiresome, like trying to filter all that and be that guy, because you got to be that guy, but you also have to like be your guy. And that like blew me out for like a year. Like after I got kicked out of that band, because I just fucking went nuts. Yeah. Like I wasn't working. I didn't have anywhere stable to live. I was bouncing from couch to couch. I slept in a bus once, and just not taking care of myself. And of course, being bipolar, all of this chaos just leads to more and more fluctuation with my emotional shit. So I'm just like lashing out randomly, having freakouts all the time, becoming weirdly obsessive about like really inane things. And so like after that, like I just like stopped for a year, like no music, no like I'm gonna nominally go out. I'm just gonna try and piece my life back together and like try and enjoy something. Which was like, you know, like a couple months of just heavy drinking, and then finally like fucking that up. You know, then a couple years of like, all right, you have a really difficult relationship now. You can't drink anymore, because if you drink, you're going to get too angry and you can't control what you do after that, and shit can go real south.
Gotcha.
And then, about a year of sobriety, and then I'm here.
Fuck it. Good thing I offered you a beer when you got in then.
No, I drink now. Now because I got out of the toxic relationship.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, sometimes it's just specific things that make you angry that one person can trigger. Okay, like it took me like the year of non-drinking to like, oh no, like I'm not an angry asshole. Like I'm not
an angry drunk.
Yeah. Well, I can be like if I get angry about something, I'll get riled up. But usually like I can like, oh, okay, well, whatever. Like I've gotten into fights with my brother, like being drunk and like throwing down, which amazingly, like that's the one like kind of neat thing about bipolar disorder is aside from like, you know, increased mental capacities, you get super strength. Gotcha. Like I get really fast,
like retard strength.
Yeah,
just like let go completely.
Yeah, like gorilla. Just like all of a sudden, like my brother's like the fit one in the family. Can't take me in a fight if he gets me angry. Like,
well, because you're not holding back. Like okay, so I work at a special needs school. Like all of my kids are 11 to 14, and they are all emotional disabilities. Yeah. There's a few autistic kids here and there that are real high functioning, and there's a couple here and there that it's all. Cognitive levels all differ. Yeah. So I know like what it is when someone, even a fucking 11-year-old, just is like goes black and does not give a fuck if they hurt you. It's 100% force. It's 100% strength. You've got 11-year-old kids who are like 5 foot tall who are on their backs lifting you up with their legs. Yep. Like it's legit.
Like
it's
nothing.
For real.
Like nothing.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. No, and I like that you use the phrase "going black" because it's exactly what it's like, and like my eyes like really respond to my emotions. So like if I'm like if I sing acoustic stuff, like my eyes go gray, like a real deep like slate gray. But like if I when I go in that mode, like my eyes go completely black. Like not like the whites, but like the whole cornea is just wide open, and like but you're not pulling in any information, and like my voice changes. It's a different me speaking.
That's crazy.
100%.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, one fight I got into with my brother, I actually I never laid a finger on him. I just wrestled him down, which he's way stronger, way fitter than me. But just holding him down and yelling at him until I'm nope, I'm sufficiently right. And then went into his bedroom and wrestling on his bed, he punched me in the face 3 times, kneed me in the head, and then kicked me in the chest. Still didn't faze me. And then I smashed through his glass end table with my face. What I hadn't realized is there was about an 1.5 inch thick pizza stone. Basically a slab of stone on top of this that I smacked clean through like a fucking ninja.
Okay.
And then just got up, looked at him, was like, now you know that I can do a lot more damage to me than you can.
That shit's insane though. I have we had a student once who it was one of those things where it's really no one's fault, but the staff member went this way, kid went that way, arm breaks, kid did not notice at all.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah.
Which was one of those things, and that was right after I started working there. I was like, oh fuck.
Am I in danger?
Yeah. I was like, oh, this is not good. Oh, so wait, but you talked about your voice, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. You don't sound like how you sing.
No.
At all. Where have you always sang like that, or was that something just for the Redemptions? Wait, no. Fuck that topic. Come back to it. You were talking about sobriety, and you kind of found yourself for a little while. Is that what the Redemptions is a response to?
The Redemptions is...
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump everywhere.
Yeah, no, it's a response to what I did in Dr. Bones was the culmination of everything I had worked on a stage. I was really I could control a crowd. Just going like that with my hand. And people were responding to it. And I fucked it up. In hindsight, I'm glad that band didn't work out because it was really an untenable situation. It was the right but wrong mix of people, and so just wanting to redeem myself musically, you had that good opportunity that you fucked up, you need to keep going, and you need to do something good. You need to do something that can mean something to people and can elevate a show, which we're still working on that. It's not I'm nowhere near doing a stage show like I used to, which is kind of sad at times. I'm really fucking hate playing a guitar.
Yeah, I
really hate guitars.
Really? Because of that, as a response to that, or just as you hate how restricted it is?
It's the having the barrier between you and the audience. Just the act of reaching out to an audience has such power, that when you're just stuck there playing an instrument and you're really stuck either moving to one side of the microphone or the other side of the microphone, I don't have to sing for a minute so I can walk over to this guy, do a little thing. And also I have to play all the notes right.
Yeah.
When I used to be Iggy Pop, I didn't I could just run on that monster strength, and I'm not built to run a mile, but I was basically running 5 miles and singing a set and throwing myself off of everything in the room, but I could still do it and I'd still nail all the parts and I didn't have to think about it. The first show, in the middle of one of my lines, I start swinging my head to my left, and my bassist starts swinging his bass to the right and knocks me. Yeah. I should have had a concussion from it. And if you slow down the film that there was of that, you would see it. You don't see it if you just play it normal speed, but you see the recoil and just the dumb look on my face. But within a frame, I'm back to singing the song and hey, how was the set? I don't really remember. Did something happen? oh yeah, you got hit in the head with a bass. Oh God! And then it all starts coming back.
Well, that's the thing about performing is I've noticed that you, even if like, because I've played shows sick, I've played shows like fucking hungry and on the edge of just like I want to die, or I've gotten hurt on stage like a couple months ago. I've just fucking jumped off. Have you played the Underground or been to the Underground?
Nile?
Yeah, the Nile Underground.
Oh, I played there. I got banned there from there.
Really?
Way back in the day in my first punk band when I was like 18.
Wow.
Yeah,
shit.
way back in the day.
I even asked it like that. Whatever. But like, I jumped off
because people like think because the Nile was closed for so long. You didn't grow up with it. Mm-hmm. Like I grew up with like a punk venue. This is just what we did. Like once we got into punk rock, we just we hung out at the Nile and we like met people. We like found like new bands. We met touring bands. We became friends with them. Like, like what we have like right now, but the Nile was so much cooler then. It was like way laxer. We could drink a lot in the parking lot.
The Nile, like when I first started playing music here was in like 2011 was when I first started playing in bands here. And it was all just fucking metalcore bands. Mm-hmm. And it was all like, you had like the main and bullshit like pop music like that.
Yeah.
And that was about like there was no like because at that point the punk bands were going to the Marquee. Yeah. Like Against Me and Bad Religion and all those people were going to the Marquee and they were going to the Nile. Yeah. So the Nile became this place of like, if you want to fucking come get sweaty with some breakdowns and hardcore dances, we're going to go to the Nile.
Well, the Nile became really reliant on outside promotion companies. Basically like you're kind of pay to play. So like a lot of their bigger shows, they're just ticket money shows.
Yeah. I always have to sell tickets when I'm playing.
Which
working for.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is okay. Like I'm okay with selling tickets as long as I get paid.
Of course.
Which the only show I've played at the Nile in recent memory was in the Dr. Bones days, we opened up for Blood on the Dance Floor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was creepy. It was fucking weird, man. But we played on the main stage, which was awesome. And it was really weird, like being Iggy Pop in front of a whole bunch of 14-year-olds. Because for the first time ever, like it was kind of part of my act. Like they would like in those days, like everyone would take bets like, what song do you think Anthony's taking his shirt off on? And it wasn't like a thing like, oh, I'm so sexy. It was just I'm fucking doing a lot up here, guys, and if I don't take this off, I'm gonna fucking die. This thing feels because like my clothes would feel like 30 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
Oh, so like I would just like be like shirtless and writhing around on the floor. I'm like, I'm gonna die. No, I got a thing to do. Okay, I'm running around for another 30 seconds and then I'm gonna die.
Well, and that brings me back to like the point I was making was like when you're up on stage, it gives you just enough adrenaline to get you to the end. Like, I've never, like, walked off of a stage or given up or whatever, but, like, there have been times, like, I jumped off the fucking drum riser at the Underground forgetting that pole's right there and just fucking, like, whacked me right down to the floor. And I was, like, I was all, like, nauseous and fucked up, and it was hurting. But, like, by, like, the fifth song, I forgot about it, and I was good to go. And, like, no one ended up singing. I made a joke about it, but it didn't really land because no one really saw it. I was trying to cover up for it and then making an ass out of myself, making sure that wasn't funny because nobody saw it. But, yeah, that's the thing, like...
Constant mistake of thinking that people are paying attention to us.
I know, it's so narcissistic. But
no, it's our job. We're artists.
Yeah.
We have the pass.
So speaking of past, like when I was talking to Mark and Carly from Yab Yum, they were talking about how you had some kind of crazy past as like a one-man show thing, or like you're on the side of a street playing music, or like
I used to
guy something. It's all garbled.
I don't know what part of the story they're trying to tell, but. I was like a hobo and I busked. That was like the main way I played money.
Like a street musician. That's what they said. You're like a street musician or something like that. Like, you're like all punked out and shit. I think.
I used to like when I did the Dr. Bones shit, like I was punked out like for half of that. Mm-hmm. And I would still play like street gigs. but I don't know what they're talking about. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I've got a crazy punk rock street person past. Like, it's like that's all. Like, you pretty much, the thick and thin of it. Punk rock, he kind of didn't live too good, and then he plays music.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, the Redemptions is very. I don't want to say positive, but I do. Like there's a certain thing to
really upbeat,
but there are certain
you haven't read the words.
No, there's certain songs, like Walls, which I feel like that song is dark, but there's something to the lyrics of that song that make it kind of like, I don't know, like my inference in that song is that you're trying to put something behind you, or that you're trying to, like, you're moving forward from something. Like, I kind of, which, obviously not every song was like that, but that's my favorite song. So that's all I fucking love
that. Literally, though,
call it's fucking awesome too.
I like that one a lot. I only wrote half that one.
Okay.
Someone else wrote some of the music for that. And if he ever is nice to me, maybe I'll give him a credit for it.
Cool. As of right now.
Yeah. No, he's got some apologies. He's got some rounds of apologies to do. But Walls is literally, like, I thought of it like a Dear John letter to society.
Okay.
Like, I'm done. I'm breaking up with, like, I can't. And then, well, at the same time, like, kind of about a girl at the same time. You know, mixing both is like, all right, political message, girl message. Okay. So that's good that, like, someone got that.
Yeah, I think that I fucking love. Well, because that's the thing is, like, I'm one of my big problems in my life is, like, I get guilty. I have a hardcore guilt complex. I don't know fucking ever comes. I think it comes from my mom, but, like,
Catholic.
No, my mom grew up Catholic, but maybe that's what it isn't. Yeah, maybe
Irish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
the Irish Catholic.
Right. No, I'm not an alcoholic though, so there's that too. But I missed that part. But, like, the thing is, like, there is a guilt in me. Like, I wasn't raised Catholic or anything like that, but I don't know what it is, but I have these crazy, like, it's anxiety, but my anxiety manifests through guilt a lot of the time. So there's certain songs, like, where, like, for instance, that song to me feels like a reflection, or it reminds me of a reflection of guilt, or reminds me of a reflection of, like I don't have to live within this anymore, kind of a thing. That's how I got from it.
There's definitely, like, a lot of themes in that song, like the third verse where, like, it gets oddly sexual.
Yeah.
It's like, like, it's my body.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me, like, I could be a whore or I cannot. Like, just let me do what I want with my body.
Yeah.
Like, or the first verse is like, like, I can lock myself in, or I cannot. Just, like, I don't want to have to be made to choose anymore.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. Like, why can't we just be people and just let it be? Like, all right, that guy's kind of a dick. I'm going to tell him he's kind of a dick, and he's going to tell me I'm kind of a dick, and we're going to move on.
Yeah.
Like all, like,
it's that simple all the time.
Well,
maybe it could be. Maybe I'm
we need to bring back racist jokes. Like, if we're all allowed to just say, like, really horrible things to each other and, like, accept it in jest, like, there's like when you're good friends with people, like, you give each other shit.
Oh, absolutely. Camaraderie and context are two things that always need to be taken into account into anything that's funny.
Yeah.
Made to be a joke.
Yeah. So, like, and that's where, like, what we need to do is destroy polite society. Okay, yeah. There's civility, but politeness, it never helps anybody. Like, oh, we didn't want to ruin the evening by telling you that grandma died. No, just tell me fucking grandma died. Or just, like, if my haircut looks bad, please tell me.
Yeah.
Like, and if it looks really bad, please tell me often. There's so many things that, like within, like, the band, like, we try and keep that kind of camaraderie and, like, be able to, like, give each other shit and, like, you can say about whatever you want about me because, like, I'm the quote unquote leader.
Yeah.
So, like, I should be given constant shit because I have the most demands.
And you should be able to fucking handle it is the other big thing.
Yeah.
That a lot of people can't handle. Like, with me, I grew up with, like, from the age of, like, 11 to 15, it was a fucking 80s coming of age movie. Like it was like 6 kids on bikes driving around looking for dead bodies and just punching each other and making fun of each other all the time, constantly ripping on each other, constantly just trying to push each other's buttons. And that taught me a lot about like what fun is, what friendship is, and like what it means to go over the line and then realize you've gone over the line, finding where that line is and apologizing in a correct way, and and being not too sensitive and things like that. So now when I see things on the internet and people being so fucking oversensitive, or this SJW society, there's a part of me, because I'm still like that with my friends, and I'm still a fucking bastard with my friends. I feel like most men are, and like I don't understand why everyone thinks that that's such a bad thing. Like, why isn't context looked at? Like, why doesn't that matter anymore?
Because context requires discovery. Like, it requires effort. And with how complicated today's situation is, there's just not the ability to make everything so simple.
Okay.
Because like, you know, like while I advocate destroying the polite society, that's not going to happen until we have like similar upbringings, like economically. Like, what we don't take into account is that there's people who don't take things well, like, because they don't have that context, because they grew up fucked up. Mm-hmm. You know, they grew up in a dire economic circumstance with parents who had emotional problems, who usually take that out on the kids, because what the hell else can you do? You know, like, you have to try and feed this thing, and it's driving you crazy all the time. So, I mean, that's how people take out their psychological vengeance, you know? And when that gets compounded over time, and with how much population density we have, it's where you get people who get triggered by things, because they've had a lot more trauma earlier on than most people should. So there's one thing to take that into account, but you can't limit language.
Fucking yes.
The only thing that suffers is arts. The arts and government, because once you start limiting language, then you start limiting discourse, and then you start limiting options, and then language becomes irrelevant, and that's how you get a fascist dictatorship.
Isn't that what fucking George Orwell was talking about, though? Didn't he say to control thought, you have to control language?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is shit that we've been talking about forever. Like, I don't understand. Like, that's why when George Carlin always came out and talked about, like, hey, you want to know how to piss off a bunch of feminists? Like, blah, blah, blah. Like obviously, like, I'm pro-woman, and I'm, like, pro all this shit. But, like, I understand that this is a joke. And I understand that what he's trying to say is, you cannot control language. It's really integral that you don't control language.
Yeah, but like what the common single issue voter hears is my trauma and the identity I had to pick up in order to overcome that. You know, like when someone has like such a strong identity as like a feminist, or like a black radical, or a redneck for that matter. You know, they have that identity to cover up for trauma. They cover up for their weakness. So when they can't, again, it's confirmation bias. They can't take in new information and include that into their world picture. So, like, if we want to have a civil society, the only way that's going to happen is if we have an equitable social and economic circumstance. You know, if we don't have people who are getting abused as children, we're not going to have as many fucked up adults. Because all those socialist great things we teach kids in kindergarten can take effect, because you don't have some drunk parent molesting their kid and fucking that whole system up. You know? But that's an issue of economy, sadly. And people aren't going to recognize that.
Yeah. See, and one of the things that I always see with, like, when you say triggered is like the picture that you painted is really, really vivid, and I see where you're coming from with that, and I agree with that. But what I also see, because I fucking live on the internet, because I'm in my early 20s and I'm in 2017, and there's certain people who I see acting a certain way on the internet, is what I see a lot of the time is like people who are wanting to be victims. I don't understand that. Like, well, okay, I guess I do. My idea of why people are trying to be victims is because they want a voice. And if someone becomes a victim, then people will listen to them or give them a voice. That's what I've seen anyway.
More than anything, it gives you an excuse and an identity. Like, I played the victim card for a long time with like my depression. I mean, like actual traumas. Like I was like sexually abused as a kid. I never really like weighed on that one. But like, you use that wall as an offensive weapon because like you feel so small that this identity as someone like who was victimized and you're fighting against your crisis. It becomes basically your reason to go forward. Like all life is built on a delusion. You know, realistically, nihilism is 100% correct. There is no point. Everything is just entropy, and there's just nothing. But magically enough, if you believe in something, you have a 50% better chance at surviving an operation. So there's a plus and a minus side to that. So like, while I see those, like, you know, the SJWs, you know, the people who were really, really, really adamant to overlook anything like Hillary Clinton did wrong, and still are trying to like not take any ownership over like how fucked up the Democratic Party it really is. It's because that's a core to their identity. It's like, I'm a good person. You know, some people like, you know, like the people who are more a right wing, they value strength. So being a victim has its own reward, but it also has its own demise. Like, you can't, if you're only a victim, you're not a survivor, because you're still the victim. You're still in your turmoil. And until like we can get to a place where people aren't suffering as greatly, like everyone just has their pressure like cooled off, you know, because on top of all this like trauma that you have, now you're also an adult and you have to try and pay the bills in an ever-inflating economy where the cost of living keeps going up while the wages keep going down. And you have to buy more and more stuff because the TV tells you to buy more and more stuff. And oh shit, now all the stuff that we used to get for free, we're not getting that stuff anymore. Oh shit. Yeah. You know, like, so until that all calms down, like we're kind of just in a stalemate.
Yeah. I'm like, I've definitely been the victim of like material, like being obsessed with like goods because I'm such a fucking fanatic. Like, I get obsessed. Like, I'm obsessed with certain movies. I'm obsessed with certain pieces of culture. My entire apartment is fucking covered in, like, film culture or music or whatever the fuck, because I love that stuff. But it does sometimes feel like, no, I need this. But it's like,
yeah,
I really don't need a giant picture of Bela Lugosi in my apartment. But
no, like, you do, because when you come home from your shitty fucking day at work, you come into your nice, like, your apartment is really nice. Like, it's really chill in here. It's like kind of what I would like mine to look like if I were able to clean ever, or have consistent enough obsession to where like these are the things I want to surround myself with. But like, there's nothing bad about materialism. It's only bad if you have the ability to help others and you don't. Like, poor people, again, going back to poor people, it's our job to buy shit we don't need. That is our moral imperative economically. And that is our moral imperative in just killing rich people and taking their stuff. Like, you set this system in motion, now you have to deal with it. But these things make us feel good. They give us, like, having control over your surroundings when you're in an untenable situation. That was a major thing that helped me come back from ruining my life. Because 3 years ago, my family wasn't talking to me. I had been kicked out of like a band that I had put every ounce of effort into. I was in an ever declining relationship that just kept getting more and more toxic. It wasn't until I gave everything up, gave up being a victim, gave up not taking responsibility for my shit. Like, yes, I know I'm so smart and I have so much to offer the world. If only I could be an artist. But right now, you just have to fucking get a job at a gas station and just do stupid shit just so you can get out of this situation. And you're going to get, like... So then I moved, like, to the ghetto with a couple of musicians, and I fucking hated that. And then, like, I got a better job. Like, actually working in an office where I have, like, you know, responsibilities and reports or something. I don't know.
TPS reports.
Yeah. Metrics and all that. And, you know, now I have my own apartment, and I have 3 cats, and I surround myself with things that when I come home, I look around, like, and, okay, this is all right. I built this little nook for myself, and when someone comes here, they're going to see the things I like, and they're going to know who I am, and it's either going to be a great time conversation starter, or, you know, fuck it.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Or you weird people out, which is one of the things that I actually kind of like. Like, I have, like, a fucking, like, a spine of an animal and, like, a fucking, like, heart in a jar and shit. That's, like, my buffer shelf where, like, people come in, like, if you make it past this and you're cool with this, then we can be cool. Otherwise, you can go home.
Oh, yeah. No,
those are important.
My college apartment looked like a mad scientist exploded, as one person said.
I would imagine that.
Yeah, just shit everywhere, like just random looking like pieces of equipment. But the thing I used to do to freak people out is a friend in high school had stolen a baby Jesus, a light up baby Jesus from a nativity display, and left it on my doorstep. And my parents like found it and had like, you know, like, to Anthony, love Satan. And they were really pissed off. But when I moved to college, we found it in a closet, and my sister was like, I found this. You need to have it.
Yes.
So I got into making bongs out of everything.
There you go.
So,
oh my God, you made a bong out of the baby Jesus.
I made a bong out of the baby Jesus. I drilled a hole in the top of his head.
Yes.
And the bowl piece was in his crotch, so it was like a little baby dick.
Yes.
And then there was a carb in his wrist, like stigmata.
See, I was thinking asshole, but then you said wrist, and that's way cooler. The stigmata thing is way cooler.
To top it off, when we had people over and they looked like real normies.
I love that term, by the way.
Thank you.
Normie.
I'm making that a thing. When we would have normies over, I would fill the bong with red Kool-Aid, and then I would just come out cradling it like a baby and like, would you guys like to smoke marijuana? And like some people would just like they could not do it. Like avid stoners and like no, you let up something that's like, no, we're only smoking out of the baby Jesus. This is the first piece we smoke out of. If you don't want to, you're going to have to wait till later.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and
it's ceremonial. So you were talking about the internet earlier, and you have some really interesting ideas about the internet, and I really want to know, because this is something that I ask myself all the time, because right now everything is connected to the internet. Yes. What do you think is...
Spend money on advertising.
Okay. Well, wait, hold on. Don't jump too far. What do you think... How is this all going to end? Like
how? Well, that depends on whether like apocalypse. Like,
see, that's what I was wondering. I think about the internet, and I'm always like, this isn't. I don't feel like there is no end game other than just like the end of things, whatever that is. But I feel like the internet has to have an end game, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
You think that the internet has to have an end game? What?
It doesn't have an end game?
No. What do you think about the last like 600 years of human progress? Think that there's an end game in mind.
I mean, maybe fucking something.
The end game, the only end game that's been proposed in the last 300 years is communism. The literal end of history. Like that's the only end game. Like everything else is just never-ending growth. The delusion of our modern society is there's no end game.
Okay.
I mean, and there's definitely benefits. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want to look at the internet's end game is Skynet. That's what the internet wants its end game to be. Yeah. So like, let's not talk about the internet's end game. I mean, our end game as musicians, honestly, like, people need to realize that it has been a money game from the very start. You have to spend money if you want people to take you seriously. People respect that, like the business people, the people you want, like management people, PR people. It's always been that way, and it's always going to be that way. So stop complaining about having to buy Facebook ads, because the one thing that like we don't realize is that with modern advertising, like if you can like hone like who wants to listen to your art, who wants to buy your art, you can find them at the click of fucking 4 buttons. There is an audience of, and all it takes to be a millionaire is for 20,000 people to spend $100 a year on you. And that's with a 5-person band and spending 60% of your intake on products. With a 40% profit margin, for everyone to clear $1 million pre-taxes, it just takes 20,000 fans and spending $100 a year.
I've heard something like that before. I like that. That's true. Like, I mean, that's why like cult followings are so important. You have people who like they don't have they're not fucking giant, but if they have like a cult following of people who are really legitimate big fans, like there's a guy that I like called Amigo the Devil, and he's a true crime folk singer guy who sings about horror and all that kind of shit. And I love it. I love that. But he, for instance, I'm obsessed with him. My girlfriend's obsessed with him. He came down to Tucson and played the backyard of some fucking record store for free.
Yeah.
And we spent $80 on merch.
Yeah.
Like, that's all you need is to really get people passionate about you. But it doesn't have to be that many people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And stop, like, another, like end game for musicians in the digital age is stop thinking that you are selling art. You are a shit salesman. You put your name on everything you fucking can and sell it for as good of a markup as you can, because people don't want to buy your albums. They don't want to spend too much on going to your shows, but they will fucking spend money on a coffee mug, a flask, sunglasses, as long as you know what your people would like to buy, you know, and it has funny shit on it, funny or insightful shit, you know, and so like, but being able to know who you're, like the cult following, like you have to be either really specific or like really vague. Like I try and go for like a catch-all. Yeah. Like I'm not looking for a cult audience. I don't want 20,000 fans. I want 30 million. Like my whole goal is for rock and roll to be fucking relevant. There's got to be at least one last rock and roll star who can tie this picture up and make it redeemable. Right. Because we used to be the vanguard of left-wing politics. We used to be the horn that the progressive wing blew on, and now like we just not there. Like the rock acts that do are full of shit, or they have weak-ass corporate politics, and most of them just don't care, because the more political you're gonna risk your fans. Yeah. But even more than that, like, rock and roll musicians don't write relatable songs. They don't write songs that make sense.
I like that. That's true. And fucking Kurt Cobain read like lyrics to any of that shit. Like, or not just him, but anybody really. I mean, that's absolutely true.
David Byrne. Well, it started in the late 60s.
Yeah.
Once the hippie thing really settled and you could be as cheesy as you wanted to and you could sing about like any hippy dippy thing, like all the fucking Donovan songs from that era. Like Donovan. I love Donovan. I know he's a great musician, but he screwed himself by putting on all those dopey ass clothes and just writing whatever shit came out of his LSD brain. You know, fucking edit. You know, like people need to have like a coherent like message. Like Dave Grohl said it best: white people dance to the lyrics. They dance.
I like that. That's cool. Yeah. It's just totally true.
Yeah, I mean, like our whole point is that this song needs to be your life. You know, like when we were kids and we found punk rock, like that moment of like, fuck, these guys get it. These guys get me.
Yeah.
I'm going to do whatever these guys did.
Yeah.
You know, that's the power of rock and roll. Mm-hmm. And it leads to a lot of great, like, rock and roll is America's greatest export. Mm-hmm. It's our greatest cultural heritage. And it all starts from white kids saying, no, we really like this black music, and you guys can fuck off because it's fucking awesome.
Totally what it is.
And we're going to play it. And guess what? Like, the Beatles, we're not going to play segregated shows. So if you want to be a racist and watch the Beatles, guess what? You got to do it next to some darkies. Have fun. Hope you dance. Come back next time. You know?
It's true. Rock and roll is about not giving a shit. It's about...
But it also is about giving a shit. It's not adhering to authority without question. You know? But it's really caring about, like, if you listen to those songs from the 50s and in the 60s, they're all really intimate, caring songs. You know, like, even if it was about a car at that time, like, the cars weren't like the way they are now. Like, you're, oh, fuck my car, piece of shit. Yeah. You know, like, people, like, loved their cars, you know? And they were all songs about, like, you know, everyday life and, like, just strong emotions and people's experiences. Really well written. And now we have those songs, but they're really poorly written. Again, back to language. Like, no one's good at using the English language anymore. The word count in most modern songs is, like, below a 4th grade level. And, like, you know, you don't have to be Greg Graffin, you know, but, like, you have to try and clearly express either something that happened or an idea. You have to tell them what the song's about. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I literally write my songs like a thesis paper. Of course, this is what the song's about. All right, the verse. These are all the supporting arguments. This is why you made me feel bad. And then, you know, like, my bridge is my counterpoint. Like, oh, but I was a jerk, and I'm sorry. You know,
I love
like, it. So
bridge is my counterpoint.
Yeah, like, and like, but people, like, oh, I see so many musicians, like, on the local and even national level that, like, they don't have any faith in their audience, and they don't really have any need to really specifically say anything. Like, they just kind of, like, half cock it, you know, like, especially after like Talking Heads, like, words are nonsense. Sounds of words are so important, and the new wave kicked that off. Unfortunately, Kurt Cobain reinforced it, even though his words are actually really important.
Yeah.
Like, with Kurt Cobain, you can actually follow, because he actually was very well versed in, like, beat writing and William Burroughs, which is that style of writing using the Chinese ellipse of splitting a metaphor in half. And just smashing them together. So you can get a lot of information out of his songs, but most people just took that, like, to that it doesn't need to make sense because they didn't understand it. So, like,
it almost became more artistic because of its esotericism. Like, they couldn't.
You listen to, like, Radiohead.
Yeah.
Like, Radiohead, like the more esoteric and, like, confusing it was like, it's like the late stages of jazz, when jazz,
that's a good one,
yeah. And do we want to be jazz? No, we don't want to be jazz. You know, no, we're rock and roll, come on. So it became so much more about, like, this, like, elevated artist that, like, was so beyond comprehension that it just lets people be lazy writers. Like, we're actually Ari, our producer, he just built his new studio, and he, like, built, like, a live room, like, basically out of scratch, from our friend Mick, who built the sound system at Rogue and does he's a tour manager for Congos.
Rogue's got an amazing sound. Like, I've never had a good show at Rogue because it's like, A, like,
it's hard to get people there.
It's hard to get people there. B, like, we generally play to a younger audience. Most of the people that we're, like, and we're trying to expand that, obviously, but, like, as of right now, most of the people, like, our house shows are packed because, like, we're really good at getting, like, the 17 to 20 kind of range.
Yeah.
So like Rogue is like such a like dive bar or something like that. It feels like it sometimes. That it's
it's absolutely a dive bar.
Yeah. So like,
and it's a dive bar on the outskirt of where dive bars are cool.
Yeah.
You know. So.
But the thing is, the sound there is fucking awesome.
Oh yeah.
Like it's amazing. That's why I was always like, okay. The two things about Rogue that are awesome. The way it's decorated, first of all, like it's all they have all the cool punk posters in the fucking bar. It's so cool, and the sound is always good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And just it was built by Mick. He's been like tour managing and front of house managing for national bands for fucking almost 2 decades now, if not longer. Like he was doing Empire of the Sun. Like helping to design their stage shows. Jet, he worked with them when they came out. Yeah. So we're back to where this started from. Ari and the room we built off of Mick's specifications. So we're tuning the room out and getting all the kinks worked out. So he's having us do basically like jam covers of the last Radiohead album. And like I'm putting like absolutely like no effort into like learning how these songs go. Like someone will like take like kind of lead and like, no, this is how the progression goes. I'm like, okay, well whatever, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
Because that Radiohead album was fucking boring as shit. Like there's some really good stuff in there, but like especially like trying to like look in like the lyrics and like sing to this, I'm like,
yeah.
The fuck are you talking about? Like if you're trying to get a point across, I don't really want to know what it is anymore. Like. Not only did your album need like several edits, but someone definitely should have looked over what you were writing and be like, you know, that kind of sounds like your asshole is awakening and opening up to a world of dicks. Like, this is literally like all I'm thinking when I hear that line right now, Tom.
That's funny as shit. I just now recently have been able to like penetrate Radiohead. Like, it's for some reason they always bore the shit out of me, but I think like I was just high enough. And I heard the Bends, and I was like, okay, I like this album. I like it.
Bends is a great album. Yeah. Kid A is a great album. OK Computer is okay.
Yeah.
But like everything after that, like once they rose to that level, like then, and they were allowed to do whatever they want. Yeah. And that's like also like, I don't believe like going back to Crass and like burnt out hippies. Like I don't believe you should do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah. Like no, you like guilt and shame. Like I think you should feel guilt and shame. Like guilt and shame are good things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, as long as it's properly managed. And
healthy, yeah.
You know, like but like you like people being able to do whatever they want just ends to people doing half-assed work. Yeah. You know, like no, feel a little bit bad. Like if you really want to do it that much. And like everyone's telling you not to, that's when it feels good.
Yeah.
That's when it feels good. Like that's why we have fetishes. Like, you know, like
that's true. Yeah, that's absolutely
I don't know why it feels really, really good when I look at the dog when we bang, baby, but like I just need it. I just need it. Don't judge me.
It's for us. It's for me. It's gonna
I promise I'll never do it again. The moment I can, I'm turning you around, baby. So I'm looking at that dog.
That's hilarious as shit.
You know, like, I don't know, like, so started talking about dog, and someone's like, I need attention. I've been really well behaved over here.
No, I know the dog. This has been the best one yet. But why the fuck don't you have a podcast? You could talk to a microphone for 3 hours by yourself, and I'd be captivated the entire time.
I
like
not committed to anything. Like,
yeah, like, halfway through, you're like these like great like visages and interesting like perceptions. I'm just like, oh shit, I should probably talk at some point around here.
So have you noticed like intermittently when I'll talk for more than like say like a minute and a half, I get this glazed look in my eye, and then I stop talking. It's because like my brain shuts down when I talk, and then I start talking, and then I have no idea what I'm doing anymore. You would
barely know that because you're so articulate and you're so well spoken that it's hard to tell that your brain's like checking out. You know what I mean? So
well, thank you. Like I think it's really obvious. I'm like someone's got to have caught on that I don't know what I'm talking about by now. I'm just kind of throwing out words, hoping they like fit into this pastiche of what I'm trying to think I go for. Where did I start from?
But when you use words like pastiche, no one gives a shit because they just immediately think that you're intelligent.
Yeah, but like,
a big word.
But then you're doing a podcast where it's your podcast, and I have to be the one that has it together. So one of the biggest reasons I got into doing music was one of my favorite improv teachers, a guy who's like so much chaos theory and like the way he improvised. Like I took a class with him and like just went far left, just far fucking outfield, like in like what I'd ever done before. And everyone like was getting notes all throughout class, and I'm like, I want some notes. And I thought, am I doing good? Am I doing like, I don't know. I want to be told what I'm doing bad. I need to like, and then like at the end of class I was like, yeah, I need you to say something bad about me. Like I need to know what I need to work on. And he just kind of like looks at me a second. He's just like, word economy. Just like I can always just like keep opening my mouth and be entertaining, but at a certain point, like I'm not providing any new information. I'm really not adding anything forward. I'm just kind of circling and hoping someone saves me.
Yeah.
So like with songs and having to really hone down words and like, all right, buddy, you got 50 words in this song. You got to choose them well. Like, cause I also like write really like, I'm not going to write like a 6-minute song. Yeah. Like if it's like pushing 5, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm really repetitive because you need to be really repetitive if you're driving any kind of oratory point home.
Yeah.
So yeah, doing a podcast would just be like too much more chaos. Like running a band is hard enough.
Yeah, I know, right? Dude, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I think I'm like. I have 2 jobs. I have a band. I have a girlfriend, and at the same time, I'm like, yeah, let's start a podcast too. Twice a week, I'm gonna record people.
Because like, you have the right side of mental illness.
Okay.
See, you have that side that you get the guilt and shame, and you need to do something to distract yourself from it. Whereas I still like have the victim complex of like, you know, all these feelings, they're my warm blanket that keeps me like.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so like we don't have anything booked for like till March.
Okay.
And not because we have anything brewing. I just got fucking tired.
Yeah.
Booking is a pain in the ass. It's terrible trying to get bands to like confirm quickly so you can get like a flyer going and the show promoted, and like maybe let's try and get some radio stuff, or like getting like the right bands booked, because it is all about like having like certain types of lineups, because no one's going to see one band.
Yeah.
You like if you have like a 3-band lineup that's like all can bring 20 people, you got a good show.
Yeah.
And then because those 20 people from each band are going, then the extra 15 who may have gone from each band, well, they're definitely going. Look how many people are going.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just disappear and like just let my house be a wreck, smell like cat piss, doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm just gonna be sad and kind of put cartoons on, but really I'm just thinking about sad stuff.
That's exactly how Josh, our singer and songwriter, is. Like, he will just kind of like, I'm very different. I'm a very like talk through cure guy. Like I'm very much like, I'm not gonna go to bed angry. Like if my girlfriend and I we actually have a pretty healthy relationship, but every once in a while it's like if we have some kind of tiff, I'm like, no, you're not leaving. We're talking this out because I'm not gonna take this to bed with me. Yeah. But I cannot let shit linger. But, like, it drives me nuts. But Josh, on the other hand, is just like, I'm going to turn off my read receipts on my iPhone. I'm going to go away for a while, and no one's going to know if I'm looking online or not. And I'm just going to sit, and I'm just going to figure this shit out. And then we're all just like, I hope he's okay. Like, meanwhile, he's, like, fingerboarding and thinking about shit. Yeah. So, like, I'm totally different. I could never do that. I would drive myself nuts if I was sitting by myself all the time.
Yeah, you are driving yourself nuts. Yeah. You're obsessively thinking about things you don't have control over. But that's part of your obsession. Gotcha. Like processing those thoughts, because like I'm going to go through those emotions. Regardless of what I'm trying to do, I'm going to feel the same way physically. and I'm not going to be able to function. So I might as well just reserve my energy and just. All right, well, we'll see if anyone still wants to be in a band next week. I'm not gonna do anything right now.
Okay. So there is a couple, like, I really fucking love how this entire time we've just been talking, or I've just been listening to you say really cool shit, but which is way more of what actually happened. But I want to talk about, because there are some musical questions that I have.
All right.
Because listening to the Redemptions, there's a couple different things there's a couple similar things that I pick up, and I'm always just like, what's happening? And that is you have percussive things that are happening, but I don't know what instrument they are or what it is. Like Call It has it too. Like the big one, like the first God damn it, the name of it.
Broken Hearts and Shattered Glass.
Yeah. Okay, that has a bunch of, especially that I talked about it for a second with you at the show. That doon doon ding doon 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 ding doon doon, which is just like,
okay.
You said was what again?
That is the bass line overdubbed on 2 different octaves of the guitar.
Okay, gotcha. But it sounds like you're hitting like beer bottles almost. Like it has this weird like boom boom.
And it's probably because it's Paul playing all those parts.
Okay, gotcha.
And Paul, like a fucking machine, was on the same note every single time, like same inflection. So it's literally like this, almost the same identical sound wave.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So it's a good effect. Like Call It.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. There's something about Call It that has like, there's some kind of percussion.
Well, there's definitely we definitely in the 2 EPs. There's 2 percussionists.
Okay.
So Stan from the Woodworks, he plays the kit, and then Spencer from Hostel, he plays congas, timbali. Yeah, that's the small one. Okay. Right. Yeah. Right. Yes. No, yeah, timbali, because I always call it a timpani, and that's the big one. That's the big one. And then he's got shakers and some other, like the tom, and we have a bucket in there now.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there's a bucket.
So that's
in there.
what I'm hearing. I'm always picking up, and it's always like, I don't know what that is, but there's a lot of shit in this music. Like there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, it's bells and whistles.
Yeah.
Between like the 3 vocals, 2 percussionists, and like a guitar, and then like some of them have like, because there's like just melody missing, like, all right, we need to overdub a guitar in here, even though there's not a second person playing it, which now we actually, a lot of those things like on Call It and Stay, we actually have Solo playing those guitar parts live now. But on everything we're writing forward, we're actually, Stan is going to be playing guitar, Spencer's going to be on kit, and then me and Solo are going to be trading off on guitar.
That's cool.
Yeah, so there'll be times where I won't have to play a guitar anymore, and I can sing, and I might be able to be a crazy person again. And then she can play guitar and like keep rhythm down, because we're both rhythm guitarists and we're both really similar rhythm guitarists. So, like, unless she's going to double me on an acoustic guitar, which she hates acoustics. I hate playing an acoustic, so I'm not going to force her to playing one. Not, like, anything against, like, it's just the feel of it.
No,
like,
I get you.
Yeah. I like the way they sound.
Yeah.
Like, all my songs were written on an acoustic guitar, and I follow the Beatles adage of, like, it's not a really good song unless you can play it on acoustic guitar.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Where, and to bring back to what I was asking about earlier, was where did the voice inflection come from?
The voice was just all me not being able to sing for very, very many years and just doing it anyway and being loud. Anytime anyone asks me for advice, just always tell them sing louder. Especially if you're learning how, like, projecting your voice. If you try and learn specific techniques, then you're going to get someone else's voice.
Yeah.
That's why everyone sounds fucking the same right now. But specifically, like, the baritone voice I got. So when I lived with a couple of gypsies in California,
how most stories start.
Yeah. I lived in a studio apartment with 2 cats, 2 dogs, and a cat. Did I say 2 cats already?
2 cats, but the current apartment.
No, so it was 2 girls.
Okay, 2 girls.
2 girls, 2 dogs, and a cat, and me.
Okay.
All in a studio apartment the size of this living room.
Okay, gotcha.
They each had a bed on either side, and I slept on the floor in the middle. But I was walking about an hour uphill both ways to work. Like, it was Southern California, like right on the beach. So, like, literally, like, I had to walk uphill both ways.
Damn.
And I was like eating once a day. I was like doing this weird fast thing where I wouldn't eat till sundown. And then also drinking a lot of fucking like shitty like sugar, like Monsters and all that, like way too many.
Yeah.
And this is when I had first started getting back into music. I was doing comedy. I was doing improv comedy in Tucson. I had a theater that I had been working with there. I was engaged to be married to a girl. That didn't happen. Smart for her. And then so I bailed to California where my parents were living. And I was like, all right, well, I can either like, and I was doing really specific type of comedy, like just weird shit. I could either like find some people and try and train them to do what I do, or I've been writing these songs for the past like 4 years. I can do this. Because I've been playing since I was 14, 15. Mm-hmm. So, about 18 years now. But, I just wrote songs. I never, played out, after I was in punk bands when I was 18. So I started doing the music again, and my voice was a lot higher pitched. Very nasally, trying to do, the Mountain Goats thing.
Okay.
But I blew my voice out because, I didn't blow my voice out. I blew my arm out.
Okay.
So I don't know what I did, still don't know what I did. But anytime I would try and put my hands on a guitar, I just couldn't. I just I was being electrocuted all down the nerves of my hand, right from the fingertips the moment my fingers touched the strings. I didn't have any grip problems. I didn't have any tendon problems. It wasn't like carpal tunnel.
Like a pinched nerve or anything like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
It was just anytime I touched those guitar strings, within seconds, I was my hand was being electrocuted. So I couldn't play the guitar for 2 months, and smoking filteredless cigarettes. I've been smoking unfiltered cigarettes for 13 years now.
Okay.
So when I was able to play the guitar again, I lost my voice, and I had to learn how to sing all over again. And when my voice came back, it was the deep guy.
Oh, interesting.
And then, so, for years, just pushing that, because getting low notes out requires a lot more air than high notes, because your diaphragm is just way more open. Mm-hmm. So being a heavy chain smoker, bipolar person with a baritone voice who has a tendency to forget to, practice every day, it can be a little challenging sometimes. Gotcha. Going into a show. I'm like, hey guys, I don't think I have all the good notes. I think I have to fuck up the end of walls. That can be a real trick to do live.
I fucking love that. That's the part of the song where I was just like, damn. That, because that was the part where I never knew with the voice thing. I was always like, is this natural? Is this inflection? What is going on here? But the end of walls is what convinced me. At the end of walls, because there's plenty of, and there's nothing wrong with it, but there's plenty of singers who they're just they're putting on a specific voice. This isn't actually how they naturally sing. And I was always like, where is Anthony in that? Is he there? Is he? And then the end of walls, I was like, this is legit as fuck. This is awesome.
Oh, thank you.
I love that. So that and 17 are my 2 jams on that album. I love them both so much.
Those are probably 2 of my oldest songs that I still do. Yeah. Those are at least 8 years old by this point.
Wow.
Yeah. But as far as the voice, there's definitely it's my Saturday Night Live voice. Okay. Basically yeah. It's we've got it's Saturday Night Live, yeah. Which is really it's pushing your head voice through your chest voice.
Yes.
to get any kind of high like notes, it's all got to come from my chest.
Yeah.
So I have to like pinch my head voice off and then add the warble on there, which all just came out of happenstance of like, I'm going to sing loud. I kind of fucked up my lungs. How are you going to do this? And then, like, I always felt bad. My mom was always giving me shit, like, maybe you should get some voice lessons. If you're going to keep being really loud in my bathroom. That was always in, like...
Now, was this, like, yesterday, or was this like, many years ago?
My mom has finally come around. My mom has finally come around to it. Always bugs me now to play, like, at Christmas and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
No, like when I was living in California, especially like anytime, like, because I've had to like retreat to my parents often, because I fucked up things too bad to not do that. But the bathroom was where I practiced, like, because the acoustics in there.
Awesome.
Yeah. So like if you want to hear the guitar notes and hear your voice in like a really good environment while also like not annoying the fuck out of the rest of the house, bathroom is a great place for that. So there's like part of it is technique, but like part of it is just like the recognition that like best advice I ever got is from my grandfather. Said, grandson, it doesn't matter if you're the best singer in the world. What matters is that you're unique. It's like once your song comes on the radio, there's not one doubt on whether or not it's you. Some people hate Frank Sinatra. Some people cannot stand his voice. Other people fucking love Frank Sinatra.
Why wouldn't people like Frank Sinatra? What's wrong with Frank Sinatra? He's one of those people who are like, to me, like the Ramones.
Yeah.
I mean, Frank Sinatra's not like the Ramones, but in a sense of like, I can't think of anything to hate. Like, I can't find an inherent hatred in either of them.
Well, so if you're looking like within the context of that time, so Frank Sinatra got his career by being a strike breaker. Musicians were on strike. He was a mafia goon, so he was able to sweep in and get his comeuppance. There was a big battle between like who's the better singer, Frank Sinatra or the original crooner Bing Crosby. And that was like the big thing. Like people just hated Frank Sinatra because Frank Sinatra is a lazy singer.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like the Nelson Riddle arrangement of Old Man River where he just hits this one fucking low note, just real with one breath. It drags on for like feels like 30 seconds, and he just hits this dive bomb low note, and you think it can't go any lower, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he goes lower. And you think the record's broken. You think the record's broken.
I have to find that song then.
Oh, it's fucking amazing. You have to Nelson Riddle.
Okay.
The Nelson Riddle arrangement. And he comes right fucking back up in one single breath. And then like after that it was Bing Crosby was like, oh, this kid, he's got going on. Just gonna go over here and just gonna beat my kids a little.
Oh yeah, that's what the fuck is up with that? What's up with men from that generation beating their kids? I don't understand. Like,
because kids need to get hit. I don't know. Like,
but that was so like every single showbiz star from that era.
That's because every single person from that era beat their fucking kids.
I know, that's fucking crazy to me. Like, you hear about this shit, even all the way to fucking like George Jones and like everybody was fucking getting beaten or beating their kids. Like, it's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah. And they stopped beating their kids, and look what happened. Look what happened when we stopped beating kids.
That's hilarious.
Now, I propose the mom rule. I think it should be legal for mothers to beat a kid within an inch of their life.
I like that.
As long as you can go in front of a judge and be like, he was being like a real fucking asshole. Like, wouldn't you have done the same thing? Yeah, he was being like, how many times this month? I don't think he's getting it. Let's do something different. But yeah, I think the only times I ever really respected my dad was when he really did, like, I was just being a fucking prick, and he just put me up against a wall And even then, I wasn't very respectful about it.
Yeah.
Like my dad threw me into a dishwasher once, an open dishwasher. I had like knives in my back. Like he didn't mean to do it. He wasn't like, it's like I pissed him off so much.
If I get this trajectory right.
Yeah. It was just like, you've been like a pain in my fucking ass. Like I move you kids out here, like to try and do you like a fucking better life, get you out of this ghetto ass suburb, into this nice house, and I get nothing but shit day in and day out. You go fuck yourself. You talk to your mom like that again, and then I lipped off again, and he just lifted me up, threw me into the thing, and then lifted me out, and then just picked me up against the refrigerator and just like looked at me. And then I had the fucking audacity to just laugh at him. Yeah. No, there's like, there's just certain, like let's Nazis. People are arguing on whether or not it's okay to hit Nazis. Absolutely fucking of course it is. Their entire hierarchical system is built on who commits the most violence. They're only going to respect you if you commit acts against violence on them.
Yeah.
Like, how does, like, what, that's why, like, liberals are, like, pussy shits. Like, you want to, like, talk reason with Nazis? They're Nazis. Their brains don't work.
That's so
like,
true.
There's one thing to be slightly racist, or even racist because you're poor.
Racially insensitive.
No, like, just straight up old school racism. Like there's an economic reason for that. Because you're a poor slob, and, like, hating someone else and their culture, who happens to be poorer than you, helps you retain your identity as part of the in group. Like, so that's, like, there's an economic, like, reason for that.
Yeah.
Like, which will only be solved through socialism. So, again, people, like, sexism, like, racism, socialism. That's all it comes down to. And I lost my point again.
Socialism, there's a reason, economic.
Oh, yeah, there's a reason, like Nazis, like, you can't, like, there's people, like, honestly believe that, like, it's not one thing being like a Nazi collaborator, like, I'm just doing my job, man, like, Nazis took over, but, like, people who, like, fervently believe that we should eliminate certain, like genetic strains of people, like, there's nothing that's gonna fix that.
I know. Yeah, it's
just the irony is, like, literally we have to genocide Nazis to get, like, rid of the problem.
Well, like, the unfortunate truth is you can't just show them an Al Green record and expect them to be like, oh, I get it now. Like, it doesn't fucking... I wish it did. I wish I could just put on, like, What's Going On or some shit like that and show them, like, hey, like, look at how this is... It's
well, even, like especially in America, like, there's so many positive parts of every culture that are represented in America. Like everyone does get their chance to show their good side of the culture. Mm-hmm. You know, so you can't say, like, oh, this and that about rap music. Yeah, but, like, let's look at the shitty parts of white culture.
Yeah.
You know, no, they want control and power. Mm-hmm. That's all it comes down to, control and power, and those people need to be eliminated. Like, I am 100% like being, like, fascist about being an anti-fascist.
Yeah, of course.
You know, like, check mark, like, before we commit this genocide, do you believe in genocide? Yes? Okay. You have to go to the genocide. I'm sorry, you don't get to live. Like, we don't believe in genocide except for people who believe in genocide.
Yeah, I know.
Well, it's the hard part of, like, being, like, radically left.
Yeah.
Like,
or radically anything. Like,
no, it's really easy being radically right.
Well, yeah, but, like, it's hard to be dealt with if you're radically anything. Like, people don't want to associate with you. People think you're too far gone or this or that or the other thing.
Well, that's because they've been comfortable.
Yeah.
Now, like, you know, like, the curtain's pulled, like, you know, the Wizard of Oz is a tiny guy. Our system is fucked up. And if people can't recognize that, well, then in 4 years, we're literally going to be fighting Nazis in the streets. And then those people who didn't care about our radical views, they can fuck off because they're either collaborators or they're just pawns. Hello, lady. Doing good. I've been talking for a really long time.
Yeah, I know. I'm probably get up soon. It's just like... Yeah. make everything equal as far as like be fucking good to everybody.
Well, you can't be good to everyone. Some people are shitholes. You need to like remember. We had the Nazi conversation. You hit Nazis.
Yeah, of course. Yes. Yeah. I know you're gonna fucking. I'm gonna play this back for you, and you're gonna be like, "Holy shit! Like, why am I not a part of this?" You should hear him talking about socialism, but
comes up a lot.
But anyway,
you know how to sweet talk me.
Aw, you know
right,
it, girl.
Fuck it. That's a great place to stop. If we don't stop it now, it's never gonna fucking end. Like seriously, thank you so much for coming.
Man, thank you for having me. It was great talking.
I really enjoyed that. I'm gonna listen back to that and just try to deconstruct what the fuck you're talking about through half of it. You're brilliant. You're a fucking genius.
I don't remember anything I've said in a while. I've literally just like my mouth has been running. It's like the time I was on ecstasy and I talked for 5 hours straight. Except this time I didn't run out of words after an hour.
Hey, look at that! Mumbling to yourself.
Oh my! No, it was just like literally like narrating like the thoughts of having thoughts of like, and just like, I know I need to like stop talking, guys, but I need to just keep talking because if I don't keep talking, then all the bad thoughts are gonna come. So I'm gonna keep talking, and we got to go do that thing. Do you remember the thing we got to go do? And like, yeah, it was bad. 5 hours. Okay. 5 hours.
It's gonna go on for fucking 5 hours. So I'm bringing up cool shit to talk about.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for listening. Have a great night.